topic of teen pregnancy. After high school, 88% of students think their lives will get better in the next 5 years. 66% plan to graduate from a 4-year college program, 25% plan to graduate from a 2-year college program, and 64% agree or mostly agree that they are eager to leave home and live independently of their family. Imagine your grandchild, daughter, son, or friend finishing up their last month or so of school, determining what colleges they will attend or what grades they need to get to receive scholarships. I don't think that many people realize that one decision could simply change your entire life and distort all of the plans that you would come up with at one point in time. For example, becoming a mother or father. 18 and 19-year-old high school seniors and those just a year or two older account for 2/3 of all teen pregnancies in the United States. Shocking? Well, 16% of all 15-year-olds, 48% of all 17-year-olds, 61% of all 18-year-olds, and 71% of all 19-year-olds have had sex before marriage. And 60% of them, or 750,000 of them, become pregnant each year. Of these pregnancies, 82% of them were unplanned, and 1 in 16 moms didn't think there was any possibility that they could become pregnant. As an unmarried teenager, premarital sex is wrong. I think that we can all agree on that. But I think another statement we can agree upon is this: words have the power to turn a difficult situation into a worse one. And while there may be a condom or a vaccine to protect the teens from getting pregnant, there will not now nor ever be a contraceptive to protect the hearts of the pregnant teens from the judgment that they receive from society. Teen mothers are well misinterpreted by the world because everyone presumes them to be how they are portrayed in magazines, pictures, and social media. When you see a teenager walking around town or in the mall pushing a baby stroller or holding her enlarged abdomen, what do you think? All sorts of labels are put on these girls, and most are negative. The reality is these girls probably did not choose to have a baby in high school or in college. Who wants to carry a diaper bag instead of a purse? For the teens, they are embarrassed, ashamed, or simply scared of society to walk outside with their large abdomens, so they stay home and avoid social contact as much as possible. Unfortunately, this sometimes means that they do not go to checkups with the doctors and do not get prenatal care to help their babies, putting the unborn child and the mother at risk for serious health complications. Many label these girls and their partners without even realizing how hard it is for them. Anyone can get pregnant accidentally, and condemning them does nothing but provide worry and a self-conscious mind for them when they need to be taking care of themselves and their baby. There are 3 options when it comes to an unexpected pregnancy. Keeping your child is an option, adoption is another option, and unfortunately, abortion is an option as well. Nearly a quarter of all teen pregnancies end in abortion. That is 25% of babies that are killed. Abortion is common for teens because it is the easiest way to escape the judgment and reality of what they have done. However, abortion not only kills a human, but it destroys an opportunity of something good, like a family. My local pastor told me that when he was a youth pastor, a girl around the age of 15 came to him and his wife and told them that she was pregnant. She didn't know what to do. Her parents were faithful members of the church, so he told her that she should tell her parents. Though she was afraid, she did so, and when he asked her how it went, it turned out she wasn't pregnant after all. My pastor later found out that her mother made her get an abortion. While I certainly believe that her mother made the wrong decision, I think that if the parents knew that the church would have been helpful rather than condemning, she might have made a different choice. The abortion rate is too high, and that is simply because of the fear and condemnation that they experience when they find out that they are pregnant. Teens have to deal with people judging them, and sometimes even their families not supporting them. Often, the pregnancy leads to conflicts in the relationship with the father of the baby, and so the woman ends up having to go through the pregnancy alone. This is just another reason why women are tempted to have an abortion. The consequences are just too hard to live with. Did you know that only 2% of teen pregnancies end in adoption? Statistics prove that for every child placed in a new family, there are 36 families waiting to adopt a baby. A study in 2014 reported that 327,166 abortions were performed and 2,197 adoptions were placed. That is one adoption per 149 abortions. If we think about it, having an abortion is fighting that you know what's best for you, but pro-life is accepting that God knows what's best for you. Connor Estrada, All-Area Golfer of the Year for 4 consecutive years, was sideswiped when he found out his 17-year-old girlfriend was pregnant. Just as his girlfriend never even thought about getting pregnant, he never imagined it could happen. As rumors quickly spread, peers looked at them with disgust. Students at my school constantly stared at my stomach like I had a disease, said Bridget. With overwhelming feelings of fear and anxiety, Connor knew that his life was over. Little did he know, his life had just begun. Connor and Bridget convinced their parents that they would keep the baby and take on the commitment of a family. Having my son really made me learn to control my thoughts and use them in a different way. It's really nice to see how something like having a child can change your life. Having Rowan has really given me a motivational boost. At first, I was just playing the game of golf for myself, but now I have a family, and that is who I play for. Connor Estrada won conference MVP for the 2nd time, as well as finished high school with a diploma in his hand. No matter how bad a situation is, you must search to find a positive. Connor and his girlfriend Bridget now look back at the situation and realize how lucky they are to have a supportive family and support for each other. They couldn't be more proud of what they've accomplished together. It's a tough situation to go through, but I would easily say it's the best thing that has ever happened to me. It's tough being young and having a child, but you can work your way through it, Estrada said. While teen pregnancy is a problem in many parts of the world, the United States has the highest teen pregnancy rate among developed countries. In any given year, the U.S. teen pregnancy rate is double that of the United Kingdom and 4 times that of Germany and France. The UK has the highest rate of teen pregnancies in Western Europe, with 95,000 conceptions last year, resulting in 58,000 live births. In places such as Africa, when a young girl becomes pregnant or has a child, her health, education, earning potential, and her entire future may be in jeopardy, trapping her in a lifetime of poverty, exclusion, and powerlessness. In California, teen birth rates have declined to 28 births per every 1,000 teens ages 15 to 19, which is the lowest since 1991 when it peaked at 70 per 1,000, but it is still happening. Director of California Department of Health, Dr. Ron Chapman, said we must not be complacent. We must continue to promote teen pregnancy prevention programs and strategies in all communities. Early childbearing often negatively impacts academic achievement, earning potential for mother and father, maternal and infant outcomes, and early childhood development. The prevention of early childbearing is an essential step in improving the health of California's youth and well-being of the next generation of California families and communities. In my community, there is an organization called Women's Friend. This organization gives out free pregnancy tests, as well as someone to lean on and rely on during a young girl's pregnancy. We are here to help with arms open and no judgment at all. Most of us have been there and we know it's not an easy road, said Barbara Meja, one of the many workers at a Women's Friend. In a society that is cruel to young women who get pregnant, it is a blessing to have a place where they can turn to in a time of need. In recent history, the church has never been 100% supportive of teen pregnancy, which I can understand. I guarantee we can understand why. Premarital sex is wrong. However, I think it is important to keep in mind that when we were still sinners, Christ indeed died for us. The church simply addresses teen pregnancy in this way. Premarital sex is a sin, and once a sin happens, once this boundary is crossed, we can no longer take it back. We need to keep our hearts and our arms open to a pregnant girl, love her, accept her, shower her with advice from the Word of God. She needs to be reminded of God's love and that He never leaves nor forsakes her, even when others do. In 1 Thessalonians, it says, "For this is the will of God, your sanctification, that you abstain from sexual immorality, that each one of you know how to control his own body in holiness and in honor." Also in 1 Corinthians, it states, "Flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits is outside of the body, but the sexually immoral person sins against his own body." It is important to realize that having sex before marriage is not okay in any circumstance. However, we are sinners and we make mistakes. That is known. Romans 8:38 says, "And I am convinced nothing can separate us from God's love. Neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither our fears for today or our worries about tomorrow. Not even the powers of hell can separate us from God's love." God died for us, knowing that we might never love him back. That is true love. His love is enduring no matter what, so why can't ours be as well? When God clothed Adam and Eve with animal skins after they had sinned, he did so as a tender act. It didn't change the consequences of their mistake, but it was as if God was telling them that he loved them and that he would provide for them, even though they had sinned against him. That is just who God is. And isn't there something to be said that when God became man, he chose to do so through Mary, an unwed teenage girl? She knew that accepting pregnancy from God would cause turmoil and pain to her and her loved ones, but she accepted God's plan for her life. In the same way Mary did so, pregnant teens in this same day and age can do so too. We cannot bypass teenagers' decisions. They need to know that their choices were poor. But if someone were to get pregnant, then we should absolutely be able to believe that God has a plan for the mother and her child. Jeremiah 29:11 says, "For I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope in the future." God is so simple, and he proves it in Luke 6:37. "Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven." Many churches of the Judeo-Christian worldview have views on the topic of teen pregnancy, and I cannot say there is much variety. Stephen Christoforo, the director of youth and young adult ministries for Eastern Orthodox Church, describes what he thinks the church's official position on teen pregnancy would be as this: "A new commandment I give to you, that you love one another as I have loved you. By this all will know that you are my disciples if you have love for one another." Stephen said that the Orthodox Church looks at our relationship with God, whether we truly see ourselves as his children and act accordingly. Sin is simply the way that we fall short of that. We miss the mark of fully being ourselves. Stephen agreed that people often look at pregnant teens with judgment rather than love. And while it is certainly less of an ideal situation, it is still no excuse to fill a young woman's life with the added burden of shame and condemnation. Sister Macrina Finley provided me with almost the same view, but as a Roman Catholic. She said the problem is that sex outside of marriage is misguided. Most women don't realize this, however, until they are pregnant. At this point, they have to deal with the difficulties of managing a pregnancy, possibly needing to finish school, and having to figure out how to become a mother while still being a kid. However, Macrina added, when a young woman stands up for the choices she has made and accepts the consequences of them, what else can we do but love her? That is exactly what Christ did when humanity fell. A Lutheran view was shared as this: God plans sex as a special gift and a privilege of marriage. Sex outside of that creates problems, yet God wants to forgive you no matter what you have done. He gave his only son, Jesus, to die as proof of his love for you. Being an unwed, pregnant teenager is not an unforgivable sin. Pastor Gary summed up in one sentence what the Nazarene believe about the issue, and that is this: love accepts even though it doesn't approve. While we should not compromise the biblical standard of sex outside of marriage, we should show the love and compassion of Christ. A teen girl who is pregnant should be able to turn to the church for help and support. I think there is much the church can do to help these girls, the babies, the fathers, and the families involved. I think that this is the kind of love Christ displayed and calls us to do as his followers. Agatha Christie said, "To every problem there is no simple solution." As for teen pregnancy, there isn't a set solution, unfortunately. However, we can start by an education, encouragement of abstinence, and of course, support from people in general. What if we could somehow transfer some of the experience to teens? What if we could equip them with the information, courage, and responsibility they need to say no to sex? Teens face many of the temptations adults do, but without the experience to appreciate the consequences of their decisions. It all starts with an education and support. Sex and contraceptive education may be the most effective way to reduce teen pregnancy. Only 60% of school districts in the United States teach sex education. And 86% promote abstinence instead of teaching teenagers how to protect themselves from sexually transmitted diseases and how to prevent pregnancy if they are going to have sex. While this may seem like a lot of schools are promoting abstinence, if people are not practicing it, then it does not matter. In other words, as my teacher, Mrs. Finley, has said, it is one thing to say and another thing to practice. Although we cannot change the behavior of teenagers and we cannot determine their choices, we can be there for them through their darkest decisions. I believe that the final step, the final solution is this. We actually love pregnant teens. Apart from simply not judging them, or any sinner for that matter, we need to do a better job of reaching out to them and helping them. Raising a baby is not easy, especially when you're young and alone. This takes not just emotional support, but just practical support. I'd like to take the next minute or so to show you a video that demonstrates the raw emotions of pregnant teens.
I hate that people label me as a statistic because I'm a teen mom. This was my choice. 3 weeks of being a mom. 3 of the hardest weeks of my life. I'm debating adoption. I'm a teen mom, I'm alone, adoption seems easier.
Being a teen mom isn't something I'm going to defend. I'm not going to go on and say, have kids early because you get to love them longer. I'll admit it wasn't intentional, but I wouldn't trade motherhood for anything.
I never mention the fact that I'm a mom when I meet people, for the sole reason that I don't want to be judged about being a teen mom.
Being a teen mom sucks. Nobody wants to love you except for your kid.
I'm a teen mother. Sometimes I'm really proud of it. Other times, I hate myself for it. I hate always wondering if I'm a good mother.
Being a teen mom has only made me more motivated to finish school and have a successful future.
I hate when guys assume that just because I'm a teen mom, I have sex with everyone and anyone.
I've made it a goal to finish school and go to college instead of dropping out and blaming my child like my mom and my grandmother.
I'm a teen mother and I love my daughter, but she is ruining all else good in my life.
I think that true strength entails being compassionate and supportive of people's feelings and decisions. And true compassion reveals that although we do not approve, we can still love. May we learn to truly love people as God loves us. My lovely assistants will pass out my brochures. Thank you so much for your time. Are there any questions?